Registered representatives offer securities through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Financial advisors offer advisory services through Securities America Advisors, Inc. Forest Hills Financial, Inc. and Securities America are separate entities. This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steindler.
Good morning. Welcome to the Keep Your Money Show. Jamie Westenbarger, joined by my colleague, Mr. Matt Cernan. Matt, how you doing this morning?
Doing well. Good morning.
Filling in for Bart, who is taking a well-deserved trip down to visit his folks in Arizona. So we wish him a safe trip back. It is March Madness has started officially.
Go Green.
Basketball on every channel. First few games were Thursday. Those were kind of boring for the most part. But there's always a few excitement, games or a few exciting teams. I mean, we all remember last year Virginia getting whooped in the first round by a team no one even remembers the name of. And
gotta love the Cinderellas and the buzzer beaters.
Yep, absolutely. So for anyone that's a college basketball fan, I hope you have warned your spouse or your significant other that if they are not a college basketball fan, obviously for the next couple of weeks, you are just going to be busy. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
So, interesting fact about college basketball. Do you know what month? Well, I mean, I'm kind of giving you the answer, but do you know what month the most vasectomies in the United States are done in?
I'll take March for 100, Alex.
March is correct, because if you've got to sit around with a bag of peas, you might as well do it while you're watching a little basketball, right? So this is Keeping Your Money Show, where we cut through all the bulls, the booyahs, the bells, whistles, honks, and horns to get you to the information that actually helps you move towards retirement. Got a great show on deck today. We're going to talk about the White House proposing caps on student loan borrowing and some other things to kind of attack and address this student loan crisis that's going on. Something that we've talked about on this show for years, that we can't continue to just allow this to grow the way it has. There's a new proposal that Barron's calls a terrible idea. I'm going to go out on a limb and call it even worse than terrible. It's one of the dumbest proposals I heard in a long time, to use Social Security to pay for parental leave. Cutting these expenses could add as much as $500,000 to your retirement based on a study. We'll tell you what those are, and little-known HSA tips that could help save you money. If you miss any part of the show, you can always find it on our website. Go to keepingyourmoney.com. You can also find it on all of our podcast partners, which is iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Just search for the Keeping Your Money Show. Follow us on Facebook so you know what we're talking about every week. Just go to Facebook and search Keeping Your Money. And if you want to give us a call, you're welcome to do so. Our toll-free number is 1-888-98-MONEY. That's 888-986-6639. We don't take calls on the air, but somebody does answer that phone 24 hours a day. All right.
Let's
got
do
that
it.
out. Matt's ready. He's fired up. He's been on the show a couple times, so he got the spring training out of the way, and now it's the big leagues, Matt. You ready? You got this?
Let's go.
So let's talk about the student loan borrowing. It is, without a doubt, a huge problem in the country that it seems like we continue to talk about, but yet nobody seems to have any proposals. We've seen some payback plans where if you work for so many years and you can get some of this stuff paid back and whatnot. But the White House is kind of taking an interesting stance in a number of ways. One, they're saying, okay, not only should we make it easier for kids to pay these back, but how about we start taking a look at how much of a student loan you're getting in the first place? And I think that's where we've really seen some of this just explode.
It is. And one of the things that I think about when going to get a student loan for college is, what is going to be your return on that college investment, the investment in your education? Just like when you go to get a home mortgage, the bank wants to do an appraisal on the home. They want to know about your income. Well, shouldn't the same thing apply for a large investment like an education, where the lender wants to know what is the value of that education going to be and what's your ability to repay it once you actually graduate and enter the workforce?
Well, especially when we look at, there was just a study that came out And I shoot, I'm blanking on where it was at. It might have been in Barron, maybe it was in Forbes, but it was a guy wrote an op-ed about the fact that if you look at the CEOs across all the Fortune 500s, you'd be surprised how few of them have bachelor's degrees or even master's degrees from Ivy League colleges. So the question is the return on investment as high as maybe we think it is, that prestigious university? It may help you get that first job. It may help you make some connections. But at the end of the day, when you've been working in your industry for 10 years, usually part of the interview process is not, now, did you go to Harvard? They don't really care. It's, can you do the job? And sometimes I think we get caught up. We just seen this huge scandal where these celebrities and famous people were paying, sometimes $500,000 to $1 million to get their kid into a school. So obviously a real fear of missing out. But if you're coming from means where you don't have the ability to write a check and you are going to be taking out a loan, I think the idea that a blank check handed to an 18-year-old is a good financial decision is missing some really big logical components to it.
I think that's a terrible idea. We hear a lot in the news about the demand for labor and the amount of job openings and employers that can't find qualified individuals. I'm not sure that the answer to that is always a 4-year college degree or an advanced degree. Many of the high schools are offering so many different programs where the kids can come out with college credit and with a couple of years of even community college can move into a labor or a skilled trade that's paying a really, really good wage, and they're finishing that without any debt. They're able to provide for their family in a $60,000 or $80,000 a year job without coming out $150,000 or $200,000 in debt because of that college education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is so often we're missing the other part of that, and that is community colleges are hugely valuable resources that are available right here. Is it great to be able to say, my kid graduated and is headed off to University of Michigan? Sure. But you know what? When I went to U of M, I don't remember exactly, but I'm gonna guess the per credit hour was in a couple $100 range, like $250, something like that. The current credit hour cost at the University of Michigan, I looked this up the other day. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm taking this off of a website that says it's right. But they say the per credit hour charge for an undergraduate student at the University of Michigan is $1,960. I mean, is that right? That seems absurd. You know what it is at GRCC? It's $114 for the same English 101 class. Now, granted, you're not going to get maybe the experience of U of M, but if you just did 2 years at community college before you moved on to the university you want to go to, you could save $50,000 on the cost of that. But here's the problem. It's not coming out of your pocket. It's just a form you got to sign that you'll pay later. And that's where we get into the trouble of now there's this $1.5 trillion of loans out there because it's really easy to sign a piece of paper. It's different to actually shell that cash out of your bank account.
Well, and today it's much different than it was 15, even 20 years ago, where going through any 4-year college degree, you were nearly guaranteed to come out with a high-paying job.
Now it's basically just an extension of a high school graduation, really.
Absolutely.
It's kind of the minimum.
Yeah, and regardless of what the per credit hour cost is, there's no question that the cost of college education is rising exponentially. Mm-hmm. And at some point, it becomes a supply and demand issue where we have so many college-educated people, but not enough jobs for them to move into. Now, all of a sudden, you're stuck with a college degree, a huge loan, and no way to earn enough income to pay that back.
Look at our current economy. You have very low unemployment, but the people that are unemployed tend to be people sometimes with some of those advanced degrees. Where are a lot of jobs that are available right now? Plumbing, construction, electrical. I mean, they can't find people to fill those jobs. Now, not everyone wants to be an electrician, and I get that. But not everyone has to go to college either. And I think we've gone from one extreme to the next. When I was in high school, college was talked about, but it wasn't like, I mean, I don't know. I would guess 25% of the kids I graduated with immediately went to college. Some of them are still in college, quite frankly.
It's a great career.
I went to a reunion and there was like, he's like, yeah, I'm going for my doctorate. I'm like, good Lord, how long have you been in college? But now it's like an expectation. You go down through a high school graduation roster of 300 kids, or, if you're up in Rockford, 1,100 kids or whatever. And I mean, literally every one of those kids will have the college they're going to. It's almost weird to not have somebody either going in the military or going to a college. And that's too bad because there are a lot of opportunities. The other thing with that is you talked about supply and demand. Supply and demand is one of the biggest reasons college costs have become so exorbitant. When you have a college trying to fill a freshman class versus a college that has to turn away 1,500 kids that want to be in the freshman class, they can raise their prices. They are not raising costs because their costs have gone up exponentially. They've raised their costs because the demand for their product is at an exponentially higher level than it's ever been before. And its number one reason for that is because everyone can go. All they have to do is sign this form and agree to pay this money someday. And here we sit at $1.5 trillion. And another proposal that was in Barron's that I think makes a ton of sense, and Bart and I have talked about this for a while, Matt, where is the university's responsibility in all of this? If you're NYU and you're going to charge $140,000 to an out-of-state student to get a degree in social work that starting pay is $14 an hour, that's almost criminal. I mean, it really is. That person is almost guaranteed from day one of working to never be able to support themselves or pay for their student loans. How is that even like an acceptable thing?
It's one thing if parents have the ability to pay for that and it's in the family and they want to give that to their child. But at the end of the day, if you're making a financial decision with your own money to take out that size of a loan to get into a career that's not going to give you the ability to pay back the loan, that's more than many people have in a mortgage.
Sure. Well, think about it from a mortgage standpoint. It would be the equivalent of you going to the bank and saying, I want to buy this rental property. And they're like, okay, how much do they want for the rental property? They want $500,000 for it. All right. And what is the rent? I'm going to be able to collect $600 a month in rent on it. The mortgage company would say that's a terrible investment. No. Yep. But yet you can go with almost that exact same story for a college education, and there are 30 banks out there that will sign off on it because the federal government will come and back it up and guarantee that it gets paid, which ultimately means you and I are going to pay it.
Exactly. One of the interesting points I see in a lot of these articles where the White House proposes caps on student loans is that they think these caps are going to begin to curb the cost of college education. I don't know that this is a great place for the government to get involved. I think it's really an individual, personal financial decision to understand what you're getting into, how much money you're going to borrow, and what your ability to repay that is going to be.
I think the one place the government needs to get involved is they need to start being carte blanche on how much of this they're going to underwrite. It's no different than the housing crisis when the government would come in and back up loans to people who had no income buying $1 million properties because they were hoping they were going to appreciate in 2 months and they'd be able to churn them and sell them. The government has no business being in that. If it is not a viable loan for someone to take out and they're not getting a career that can pay that back, we should not be in the underwriting business of that at all. So,
absolutely.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk about a terrible idea with Social Security where you can access it early to pay for parental leave right here on the Keeping Your Money Show.
There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to planning your future. Jamie, Bart, and all of the advisors at the Keeping Your Money Show understand that your financial goals are unique and your needs are going to change at varying stages of your life. Our team of advisors can help you tailor a financial plan that meets your unique needs. Call us today at 1-888-98-MONEY or visit keepingyourmoney.com to schedule your free initial consultation.